Robert Beltran says something beautiful can happen with Janeway and Chakotay if Star Trek Prodigy gets more seasons. Star Trek Section 31 actor Sam Richardson teases how Star Trek's first streaming movie is a different look at the venerable franchise. Richardson plays an unknown role in Star Trek Section 31, which is led by Academy Award winner Michelle Yeoh, reprising her iconic role as Emperor Philippa Georgiou from Star Trek Discovery. Little is known about Star Trek Section 31, but it presumably involves time travel, and the film appears to be set in Star Trek's lost era of the early 24th century. Entertainment Tonight interviewed Sam Richardson on the red carpet of Prime Video's sausage party, Foodtopia. Richardson revealed he is a lifelong Star Trek fan who grew up watching Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and Star Trek Voyager. Richardson then hinted that Section 31 is a different look at the Star Trek universe, but it has me in it. Watch its X post with Sam Richardson below. Star Trek Section May 30 first finally be revealed at San Diego Comic-Con. Star Trek Section 31 has been shrouded in mystery for years, but the curtain is about to rise on Paramount Plus vs. Star Trek streaming movie. Section 31 will be part of a huge San Diego Comic-Con Star Trek Universe Hall H panel, along with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, Star Trek Lower Decks, and Star Trek Starfleet Academy. On X, a SDCC official blog posted a photo of the annual Star Trek on Paramount Plus banner, with Michelle Yeoh as Section 31's Emperor Georgiou front and center. One of the intriguing aspects of Star Trek Section 31 is Emperor Georgiou visiting Star Trek's early 24th century and meeting a young Rachel Garrett, Casey Roll, years before she becomes captain of the USS Enterprise C in Star Trek The Next Generation. It's possible that Georgiou's Section 31 is recruiting Star Trek legacy characters in their younger years. If so, Sam Richardson resembles Brock Peters, who played a young Joseph Sisko, the father of Captain Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. More is certain to be revealed about Star Trek Section 31 at San Diego Comic-Con. Robert Beltran says, something beautiful can happen with Janeway and Chakotay if Star Trek Prodigy gets more seasons. Robert Beltran hopes Star Trek Prodigy gets more seasons so that something beautiful can happen with the relationship between Captain Chakotay and Admiral Catherine Janeway. Kate Mulgrew. Janeway launched a mission through time and space to rescue Chakotay in Star Trek Prodigy Season 2. With the help of the young Starfleet hopefuls of the USS Protostar, Janeway and Chakotay, dubbed JC by Star Trek Voyager fans, reunited, though they didn't begin a full-blown romance as some audience members hoped. Robert Beltran joined the Seventh Rule podcast to discuss his triumphant return as Captain Chakotay in Star Trek Prodigy. Regarding Janeway and Chakotay, Beltran explained how he expected JC to be explored throughout a multi-season run of Star Trek Prodigy, and he hopes that will still be the case. Read Robert's quote and watch the Seventh Rule video below. I fully expected for Prodigy to go 3, 4, 5 years because I knew it was that good. And so, the way it ended, JC, our relationship ended in Season 2, I thought was a beautiful lead up to something that could have been even more beautiful in the coming seasons. 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. But I think that what was beautifully established was a respect and a love that could be platonic love, or it could be romantic love. But even at this point between the two series, they haven't really had a chance to explore a personal relationship in a way where you can really give it time. The writers can take 2 or 3 or 4 episodes and explore maybe a marriage at the end of it, at the end of Season 7 of Prodigy. Explore the relationship and the intimacy, which doesn't have to be sexual, but just the attraction that they had for each other, at the very least an intellectual attraction. But of course, it was much more than that. At the end of Season 2, the relationship grew stronger, and something beautiful can happen in Seasons 3, 4, 5, and on. But I don't know if that'll ever be given a chance because of the nature of the business. But I hope so. I hope they will revive Prodigy for a few more seasons. Star Trek Prodigy awaits a Season 3 renewal from Netflix. The future of Admiral Janeway and Captain Chakotay's burgeoning romance depends on Star Trek Prodigy getting a Season 3 renewal from Netflix. Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 charted in several countries' Netflix Top 10, although that didn't happen in the United States. Streaming numbers and online conversation in Star Trek Prodigy Season 2's first month are crucial for Netflix to determine whether to order more seasons, but Star Trek fans are doing their part to binge and create internet chatter about Star Trek Prodigy. There is palpable affection between Admiral Janeway and Captain Chakotay in Star Trek Prodigy Season 2, thanks to the show's vivid animation and the performances of Kate Mulgrew and Robert Beltran. However, Star Trek Prodigy is an all-ages show with a younger target audience, so this perhaps limits how romantic Janeway and Chakotay can be. Nonetheless, Janeway and Chakotay's relationship in Star Trek Prodigy is just getting started, and seeing JC in full bloom is dependent on more seasons ordered from Netflix. Star Trek. Every version of the Starship Enterprise. There have been many versions of Star Trek's signature starship, the USS Enterprise, and here's every vessel to bear the iconic name. Home to some of the most exciting adventures in the Star Trek franchise's illustrious history, the Starship Enterprise is also one of the most recognizable ships in science fiction, even though it has gone through a lot of changes since its debut in Star Trek, the original series. Generally maintaining its signature saucer and nacelles look, the specifications of each version of the Enterprise have seen it grow and change with each major refit. Still, it's always been the United Federation of Planets flagship no matter what era it flew in. The USS Enterprise first appeared in Star Trek, the original series, but was already a veteran of the Federation fleet by the time Captain James T. Kirk, William Shatner, and his crew went on their historic 5-year mission. The history of Starfleet is inextricably tied to the Enterprise, and each show makes it clear that she's the top of the line. Going as far back as the events of Star Trek Enterprise, the titular vessel was the first to attempt deep space exploration during the prequel series. However, small clues alluded to the fact that an Enterprise was always a part of space travel long before Captain Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula, first donned his uniform. Excluding the real-life space shuttle launched by NASA in 1977, the oldest known example of a spacefaring ship to bear the name Enterprise was briefly hinted at during Star Trek Enterprise. In Star Trek Enterprise Season 2, Episode 24, First Flight, a painting of the USS Enterprise XCV-330 showed a probe-like vessel with a long tube body that was surrounded by massive orbiting rings. Far from the most powerful Starfleet ship, the XCV-330's design was primitive even by Enterprise-era standards, and little has been revealed in canon about the specifications or history of the vessel. Launched in the year 2150, the Enterprise NX-01 was captained by Jonathan Archer until the year 2161 and was the setting for the series Star Trek Enterprise. The hull of the NX-01 consisted of a massive saucer section that tapered off into 2 nacelles that were in line with the saucer and gave the ship a sleeker profile compared to later incarnations of the Enterprise. The first Earth starship capable of reaching Warp 5, the NX-01 Enterprise was the top of the line for its era, which was crucial to Earth making the necessary alliances to form the United Federation of Planets. After the formation of the United Federation of Planets, the Enterprise NX-01 was scuttled because it was woefully behind the times compared to the superior technology of the Vulcans. As such, the Enterprise name sat dormant until the creation of the Constitution-class starship, when the USS Enterprise NCC-1701 was launched in 2245. The USS Enterprise was first commanded by Captain Robert Adrian Holmes, under whom Commander Christopher Pike served as the ship's number 1. Pike assumed command of the Enterprise 5 years later and led the Federation flagship for almost 15 years.